Here's the thing. Name a sci-fi film from the last 25 years. Go on. I'm willing to bet you said Interstellar, or Arrival, or maybe Dune. And those are great films. Nobody's arguing that. But here's the thing. While everyone has been watching the same 5 movies on repeat, an entire parallel universe of science fiction has been quietly existing underneath. Films made on shoestring budgets that rewire how the genre works. Stories so sharp and so strange that the fact you've never heard of them is genuinely a crime. Today's list has one rule. These are films that deserved 10 times the audience they got. We've got a time loop comedy that broke Sundance records, a Swedish space epic that will sit with you for weeks, a horror film with almost no dialogue that Stephen King called truly unique, and at number 1, a $3 million film with fight sequences that have no business being that good. Not just the best sci-fi film, but one of the best films in the last 5 years. 15 films, all underrated, all worth your time. Let's go. Number 15, Spectral. Right, let's start with something that should have been a franchise and instead just quietly vanished into the Netflix catalog within a year of release.
3 days ago, we conducted a raid. Men just started falling.
A special forces team is sent into a war-torn Eastern European city to deal with something the military can't explain. Soldiers are dying, killed by what looks like ghosts. Translucent, humanoid, moving through walls. The team is given a scientist, played by James Badge Dale, to help them understand what they're actually fighting. Nick Matthew directed this, his feature debut, billed the first half almost like a detective story. The engineer observes, theorizes, the soldiers around him are terrified. And once the film commits to revealing what these things actually are and where they come from, the answer is both grounded and completely unexpected. The visual effects work is genuinely remarkable for a film with this little fanfare. The spectral enemies are rendered with a clarity and physicality that makes the combat sequences feel closer to a high-budget theatrical release than a streaming original. A tight, tense, visually impressive sci-fi action film that most people have simply never been told exists. Number 14, The Endless.
How is that possible?
Two brothers escape a UFO death cult as teenagers. A decade later, they receive a video message from the camp, and the younger brother wants to go back, just to visit, just to get some closure. That decision is the last normal thing that happens in this film. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead write, direct, produce, and star in it. Two filmmakers who operate completely outside the studio system, and who are, without question, two of the most interesting genre directors working today. What they built here on a micro-budget is a film about time, about cults, about the psychological grip of a place that made you feel like you belonged. The film is genuinely frightening in a way that doesn't rely on cheap mechanics. The dread is slow and cumulative. The camp looks normal. The people seem happy. And the wrongness creeps in at the edges. A rope that hangs from the sky with nothing at the other end. A game of tug-of-war with something on the other side that you never see. The ending is the kind that reframes everything you watched before it. Quiet, inevitable, and completely earned. Almost nobody has seen this film. That's a genuine injustice. Number 13, Aniara. I need to give you a warning before this one. Not a content warning exactly, more of an emotional preparedness warning.
Välkommen ombord på Aniara. Vi är ett toppmodernt transportskepp som kommer att ta dig hela vägen ifrån jorden till Mars på 3 veckor.
A luxury space liner is evacuated from a dying Earth, carrying thousands of passengers on a 3-week journey to Mars. Then, something goes wrong. The ship is knocked off course, and the crew realizes they're now drifting through empty space with no way to course correct. 3 weeks becomes 3 years. 3 years becomes decades. And the film watches what happens to a society that knows it will never arrive anywhere. Based on a 1956 Swedish epic poem by Harry Martinson. Directed by Pelle Kagerman and Hugo Lilja for under $4 million. And it is one of the bleakest, most uncompromising sci-fi films. Emily Johnson plays the operator of Mima, an AI that provides emotional comfort through immersive memories, and her performance is devastating. She watches her purpose become first essential, then insufficient, then unbearable. This is not a fun film. It's a patient, merciless meditation on mortality and meaning in a universe that provides neither. If you want sci-fi that refuses to comfort you, Aniara is extraordinary. This is not an easy watch. It offers no comfort. What it offers instead is one of the most honest depictions of hope, dependency, and despair that science fiction has ever produced. I watched this once. I have never needed to watch it again. I think about it constantly. Number 12. Freaks. I'm going to tell you almost nothing about this film, because almost nothing is exactly how much you should know going in.
You gotta be strong like your mom was.
You knew my mom?
A young girl named Chloe lives in a rundown house with her father. She is never allowed outside. The windows are boarded up. Her father is paranoid, exhausted, clearly hiding from something. And clearly hiding something about Chloe, too. That's it. That's all I'm giving you. Emil Hirsch plays the father, and Lexi Kolker, who was 8 years old during filming, gives one of the most remarkable child performances in modern genre cinema. The film is built entirely around a slow accumulation of small, wrong details, each one recontextualizing everything you thought you understood about the situation. Directors Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein made this on a relatively small budget, and the restraint is the whole point. Every reveal is earned. Every twist reframes the genre the film actually belongs to. I will say this much. By the halfway point, you will have no idea what kind of film you're watching. By the end, you'll understand exactly why that was necessary. Do not watch the trailer. Go in blind. It rewards patience completely. Number 11. No One Will Save You. I need to tell you something about this film before anything else. There is almost no dialogue in it. Almost none. And it is one of the most purely tense pieces of science fiction filmmaking in years. Bryn lives alone in a house at the edge of a small town, isolated from everyone around her for reasons the film reveals slowly. And then, one night, something gets into her house. Something not human. Brian Duffield wrote and directed this, and the decision to strip away dialogue almost entirely forces the film to communicate everything. Fear, intelligence, desperation, even humor, through performance and sound design alone. Caitlin Dever carries the entire film essentially solo, and what she does with almost nothing but physical performance is extraordinary. What elevates No One Will Save You above a simple home invasion premise is what the alien encounter is actually about. The film is, underneath the genre mechanics, a story about isolation, guilt, and the specific loneliness of being someone your community has already decided not to forgive. This went straight to a streaming release, and the lack of marketing meant most people scrolled past it entirely. The ending is divisive. The final 10 minutes land like almost nothing else in recent science fiction. Number 10. They cloned Tyrone.
What kind of shit is this?
Like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
Don't let the back door hit you.
We gotta go.
Right, gear change. And this one is a genuine surprise. Fontaine, a drug dealer in a rundown neighborhood, gets shot. He wakes up the next day, alive, with no memory of dying. He teams up with a pimp named Slick Charles and a sex worker named Yo-Yo to figure out what's going on. And what they uncover is a vast underground conspiracy involving cloning, mind control, and a government experiment that's been quietly operating beneath their neighborhood for decades. John Boyega, Jamie Foxx, and Tiana Paris lead this, and director Jewel Taylor does something genuinely rare. He blends the visual language of 1970s blaxploitation cinema with hard science fiction conspiracy and makes both halves work completely. It is, scene to scene, very funny. Fox in particular is doing some of the loosest, most purely entertaining comic work of his career. And underneath the comedy, the film is making a sharp, specific point about systemic control. about who gets experimented on, who gets believed, and who gets erased from their own story. This went straight to streaming. It deserved a theatrical run and a real awards conversation. Paris's performance alone is worthy of one. If you want proof that big ideas and big laughs aren't mutually exclusive, this is it. Number 9. Boss Level. If Groundhog Day and a John Wick movie had a baby, and that baby was directed by the guy who made Crank, you'd get Boss Level.
What if the ability to rewrite history was real? What if I can erase our mistakes? This gives me the power of God.
Frank Grillo wakes up, gets attacked by an assassin, dies, then wakes up again. Same morning, gets attacked, dies again, then again, and again. Boss Level is a time loop action film that knows exactly what it is and commits to it with complete gleeful conviction. What separates it from the dozen other Groundhog Day riffs that arrived in its wake is the escalation. Every loop, Grillo's character gets slightly better, slightly faster, slightly more creative about surviving the increasingly bizarre parade of assassins sent to kill him each morning. The film treats this like a video game, and that is entirely intentional. Mel Gibson shows up as the villain. Naomi Watts shows up as the scientist at the center of it. Michelle Yeoh shows up and does Michelle Yeoh things. It's ridiculous. It knows it's ridiculous. It has a tremendous amount of fun being ridiculous. This went straight to streaming with almost zero marketing, and it deserved a theatrical run. Genuinely one of the most purely fun action sci-fi films of the 2020s. Number 8. Midnight Special. Jeff Nichols made this film right between Mud and Loving, two films that got him serious critical attention, and Midnight Special got almost completely lost between them.
It's time. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Shannon plays a father on the run with his 8-year-old son. The boy has abilities, strange, powerful, growing, that a religious cult believes make him a prophet, and that the government believes make him a weapon. Both of them want him. The father just wants to get him somewhere safe. Here's what nobody tells you about Midnight Special. This is essentially a Spielberg film, in the tradition of Close Encounters and E.T., made with the patience and emotional restraint of a 1970s drama. There are almost no big spectacle moments until the very end, and even then, the film is more interested in what these powers mean for a family than in showing them off. Michael Shannon, an actor mostly known for intensity and menace, plays this role with a tenderness that's genuinely moving. A father trying to protect something he doesn't fully understand, doing the only thing he knows how to do. Joel Edgerton, Kirsten Dunst, and Adam Driver round out a cast that is operating at a level most ensemble films don't reach. It competed for the Golden Bear at Berlin. It vanished at the domestic box office. One of the finest science fiction films of the last decade, almost completely forgotten. Number 7. I Am Mother.
Why aren't there any more children, Mother?
There used to be.
Then why did you only make one?
After an extinction event, a robot activates inside a sealed bunker. She grows a human embryo from storage. She raises the child. She calls herself Mother. Clara Rugard plays the girl, called only Daughter, in her first starring role. She is 21 years old. She makes someone raised entirely by a machine feel warm, until warm starts to feel like something else. Then a woman arrives at the bunker door. She says machines like Mother have been killing people in the world outside. She says Daughter needs to leave, now. And now the film's central question arrives and refuses to move. Who is lying? The robot who raised her, or the human who looks like her? Rose Byrne voices Mother with a specific quality. Caring, measured, and never quite readable, that keeps you trusting her and doubting her simultaneously. 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Almost nobody has seen it. Find it tonight. Number 6. Caddo Lake. This is the newest film on this list, and it's the one I most want you to go in completely cold for.
What are you doing? Man, why you gotta be such a scaredy cat?
An 8-year-old girl goes missing on Caddo Lake, a real, ancient, cypress-draped lake on the border of Texas and Louisiana. Dylan O'Brien plays Paris, a young dredger trying to understand why his mother drove off a bridge into the lake. Eliza Scanlon plays Ellie, the missing girl's stepsister. 2 separate stories, 2 separate timelines. And then the lake starts connecting them. Produced by M. Night Shyamalan, and it earns that connection more than most of his recent work has. Caddo Lake doesn't hold your hand. It gives you 2 parallel stories and lets you sit in the confusion until the second half starts pulling the threads together. When it does, and it does, the pieces land properly. The location does extraordinary work. That lake, the actual Caddo Lake, with its black water and draping moss and labyrinthine channels that all look the same, creates a sense of a place where time genuinely might not run in one direction. A film that was barely seen on release and deserves to be one of the most talked about time travel films of recent years. Number 5, The Vast of Night. This film was made for less than $1 million by a first-time director, and it is one of the most confident pieces of filmmaking I have ever seen from someone making their debut.
They've come here before. They've liked this place. They always have.
Set in 1950s New Mexico, on the night of a huge high school basketball game that's emptied the whole town, the film follows a radio DJ and a switchboard operator who start picking up a strange sound on the airwaves. A sound that shouldn't exist, and that seems to be getting closer. Patterson shoots this film like it's an episode of The Twilight Zone that was somehow recovered from a time capsule. The cinematography, long, unbroken takes, low light, the world shrinking down to voices in the dark, creates a sense of dread that has nothing to do with special effects and everything to do with patience. There is a sequence near the middle of this film, a single static shot of a radio studio while a voice speaks, that is one of the finest pieces of atmosphere in recent American science fiction. A genuine festival darling that most people have never seen. Watch it at night. Alone. With the lights off. Number 4. Coherence.
This is bad. This is really bad.
What's the box?
That was at the other house.
Oh my God. Baby, what did you see?
Hugh, what did you see?
$50,000 budget. 5 nights of shooting in the director's living room, with actors who were given outlines of their characters, not scripts, and told to improvise. And what came out is one of the most unsettling science fiction thrillers of the past 30 years. 8 friends gather for a dinner party on the night a comet is passing close to the Earth. The lights go out. 1 house down the street still has power. 2 of them go to check it out. And what they find is... Look, I'm not going to tell you. Not a word. What I will tell you is this. The film is not about the comet. The comet is just the thing that makes visible what was already there. The tensions, the resentments, the choices people made and didn't make, the versions of their lives they picked, and all the other versions they quietly gave up. I found this on a random scroll at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. I finished it at 1 a.m. I lay in the dark for a bit, then I watched it again the next night. No other film on this list did that to me. Number 3, Palm Springs. Another time loop. Stay with me, because this one does something almost nothing else in the genre has managed.
Niles?
Don't come in here!
What the...
It's gonna be a beautiful wedding.
Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti are stuck in a time loop. The same wedding day. Forever. He's been there long enough that he's stopped caring. She just arrived. Hulu buried this one when it came out in 2020. It deserved far better, because underneath the rom-com packaging and the genuinely funny screenplay is something more interesting than the premise suggests. A film about 2 people who have both, in different ways, given up on the future, who has decided, consciously or not, that forward is too frightening. And what happens when you're forced to confront that by living the same day until you figure out a reason to leave it? J.K. Simmons plays a third person stuck in the loop, and his arc is the film's most quietly devastating thing. Sold for $17.5 million at Sundance 2020, the biggest sale in the festival's history at that point, and then disappeared. Funny, genuinely romantic, and smarter than it looks. Genuinely one of the best films of its year. Number 2, Chronicle. Before superhero deconstruction was a genre, before The Boys, before Brightburn, before any of the films that get credit for what if powers happened to real people, there was this.
I'm worried about Andrew.
Listen to me. We can't screw around with this. It's too dangerous. Andrew, it's not a game. Andrew! Stop this right now!
3 high school kids find something in a hole in the ground. It gives them telekinesis. At first, it's fun. Moving things with their minds, flying, pranks. The found footage gimmick, one of the kids films everything, makes the discovery feel immediate and raw. Then, one of them starts using it for something else. Josh Trank made this for $12 million, which is nothing for a superhero-adjacent film. And what he does with it is take the superhero origin story and turn it into something darker and more true. Andrew, played by Dane DeHaan, is an abused kid, isolated, angry. And when he gets power, he doesn't become a hero. He becomes exactly what you'd expect an angry, isolated teenager with godlike abilities to become. The film builds toward a final confrontation in downtown Seattle that's one of the most visceral, destructive, superpowered fights ever put on screen. Not clean, not heroic. They barely understand tearing a city apart. The found footage conceit breaks down in the third act. The film starts using security cameras, phone footage, news helicopters to maintain the format, and it works because the format was never the point. The escalation was. Chronicle is proof that you don't need Marvel money to make a superhero film that actually says something. Number 1. Upgrade. Before Leigh Whannell directed one of the best horror remakes of the last decade, The Invisible Man, he made this. And if you want to understand exactly why a studio handed him that project afterwards, this is the answer.
Can I have everybody's attention?
I'm looking for the guys who murdered my wife.
Gray Trace is in a car accident that kills his wife and leaves him paralyzed from the neck down. He's then offered an experimental implant called STEM, an AI chip that restores his mobility completely, more than completely. And then STEM starts talking to him and offering to help him find the people who killed his wife. What follows is one of the most purely inventive pieces of action filmmaking of the decade. Whannell choreographs the fight sequences using a specific camera technique, fast, swooping, almost robotic in its movement, that makes every confrontation feel genuinely unlike anything else in modern action cinema. Logan Marshall Green plays Gray with a physicality that shifts scene to scene, between a man relearning his own body and something else entirely operating it for him. And underneath all of that, the action, the body horror, the sleek near-future tech, is a twist ending that recontextualizes the entire film. I will not describe it. I will only say when it lands completely, and it changes how you understand every single choice Gray made up to that point. This is the most purely entertaining, most technically inventive, most criminally underseen science fiction film of its decade. That's the reason it's on number 1. And that brings us to the end of today's video. 15 sci-fi films, every one of them brilliant, and every one of them deserving far more attention than they received. Now, I'd love to hear from you. How did you like this list? How many of these movies have you already watched? Which ones were completely new to you? And most importantly, what's your favorite modern sci-fi film? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely enjoy reading your thoughts and interacting with fellow movie lovers. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to Cine. I'm committed to bringing you the best movie recommendations, hidden gems, and cinematic discoveries. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.